All right,
We
guys,
good?
it's
All right.
loading up. It's loading up. So I'm just going to ask that everybody would just mute themselves. All right, so here we go. We're going to get started with the free throw. What's up, everybody? It's Coach Kenya here. I'm here with Wayno. What's up, Wayno?
What's going on, Kenya? How you doing?
We're good. I'm good. We're in, I don't know, what is this going on? 6 or 7 weeks of quarantine.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't. It's all the same week to me. I don't
I
know.
know. It feels the same every day. But
Right.
we've had the real fortune and the good pleasure of having all of these people join us today for a good conversation. All of these people have submitted free throws. They have questions. They're here for advice. They're here for mentorship. They're here for ideas. And
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be one big think tank, right? So
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
we're gonna hit play. We're gonna go. So we're gonna start with Muhammad. So Muhammad, you can unmute yourself. Tell everybody your name, where you're from, and then you can get into your question for Wayno.
Hi, how are you? My name is Mohammed Siddiqui. I run a virtual tour company for real estate and other things for really any business in New York City. So my should I put my Instagram handle? Should I say it?
You can.
Okay,
You
so it's
say.
NYV Tours. So yeah, I do 3D virtual tours for basically it could be anything from a hotel, apartment buildings to homes. It really there's no limit. So my question is, if I'm new into a field and I want to start to get to know the people, start networking, and basically approaching people to do business, uh, how is it that like you can you can approach them without being a little pushy, without being pushy, but not too passive? I don't want to be too
Um.
passive or pushy.
I always say this. There's a thin line between persistence and annoyance,
Mm.
and reason why I say that is because like I understand that there's a lot of people that's adamant or they're hungry or eager, but a lot of times like you said, like you can be perceived as pushy by how you come off. Presentation is a word we use a lot here, and I think it's all how you position and present yourself. When especially when building a relationship, it has to come from a genuine place. If it's not coming from a genuine place, then it's going to be deemed as oh, this guy just trying to get close to me for whatever, and then people kind of fish that out, and then they kind of distance themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But you just got to figure out, like, when it comes to building relationships, like what mutual things or mutual ideas you might share with a person, and that all stems from conversation. The right
Yeah.
type of conversation could get you any type of anything you really want. So I think you just got to work on your conversation skills, first and
Yeah.
foremost, and then just figure out the direction of where you want the conversation to go. If you wanted to lead the business, you can't usually start out with business from the rip.
Yeah.
And then just reel that back into how you present the conversation from the door.
Yeah.
You do that, and then it's kind of a formula to kind of get yourself into rooms that you haven't gotten into before, or get yourself into places within those rooms that you haven't gotten before.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds great. Thank you
Mhm.
so much. Like the thing is, I have to do cold calling because of what's going on. I cold call agents. I'm like, hey,
Mhm.
my name is Robbie. I'm from NYVT. I use the name Robbie because it's like easier to
I
just
get it. I get it.
you know how it goes. Yeah. Yeah. So I say, hey, my name is Robbie. I'm from NYVT. I do 3D virtual tours. I help agents sell their properties 30% faster with about above 9% asking price. So like I use these statistics to back it up, and
Yeah.
I have a pitch, but like sometimes I feel like it's like a little like automated. I don't like it's not like when I can hit it off like with a conversation with the agent, it's perfect. But like I
Yeah.
don't like doing the pitch. Like if I can do the pitch in a conversation, that's what I'm
I-
striving to do.
is the picture part of your protocol?
That's what I have. That's what I've learned. Like I read like the Wolf of Wall, like the Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort.
Hmm.
Like he says, basically, just stay on the track that you want to be on. Yeah, you can take little detours in the conversation, but stay on your message. You know.
Yeah, I think that you could use like the message as the foundation, but like if you're finding difficulty with you just trying to push the conversation with the formal pitch,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's time for a unconventional moment. Maybe it's time for a little bit of change, a little bit of a switch up. You know, end of the day is really about, you know, your comfort and making the client comfortable as well. So
Yeah.
that might take you starting the conversation with unconventional methods. Most sometimes for some of my artists or clients that I work with, I might call them and I say, yo, like if I got an issue, I'll say, yo, listen, we need to have two type of conversations. First conversation is, all right, I started off with like, yo, how's the game? Da, da, you cool? Kids cool? Da, da. All right. After I finish with that, yo, what's up with that bullshit you did? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to kind of, you know, kind of separate the two. But that's just how I handle my business. I think for what it is that you're doing, you got to figure out a way to like neatly mesh those.
Yeah.
You know,
And like,
you got to figure out a way to neatly mesh it.
yeah, about being the overly pushy. I'm not sure if I'm taking up too much time. You can tell me to shut up when you need to.
It's all good.
Yeah, so I have a potential dealing with going with one client. I usually charge like $275 to $300 for a rental that I'm going to do a scan for, and this guy has 300 units, so obviously he's not going to pay 80,000 for 300 units. So then he said, "Nah, I can't do that. That's a little too much." But then I'm like, "Okay, I can do this. It's significantly lower,
Right.
but like." I just called him back. I literally called him like 30 minutes ago. I'm like, okay, I understand that you can't do this, but I still want to do business with you. So let's just come up with something. So he's like, okay, yeah, this is the most I can pay for. This is the most I can pay for listing for the scan. And then I'm gonna
No, my fault. Finish.
yeah, okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm gonna lower the price for the listing, obviously, but then I'm gonna just add more to the hosting fee just to cover my backside.
I think, you know, we're trying to pursue these clients. I don't know if you do or don't, but you need to figure out some sort of sample way that you could show them what it is that you're what the product that it is that you're trying to provide.
Yeah, I have samples that I sent to agents.
Okay.
So I have a couple of agents that I do know. I took a few sample scans of just like empty properties. I just have a couple of agents in my listing. I'm Indian. We know everybody that does something. Yeah. So
well, you gotta. I mean, that's that. The good thing about that is knowing that. Then you have to kind of use that as your superpower. You know, I think like, you know, some of the things that we might not necessarily take for granted, but some of the things that might be right in front of us that we may not think work in our favor. You got to use that a bit. You know,
yeah.
so that sounds dope, man. And I hope you can be able to push forward and figure out new ways to push the product. So, you know, always tap back in with us, you know what I mean, and let us know how things are going.
Of course. Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your points of view on everyday struggle, man.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
So Muhammad, I have a couple tips for you, especially when it gets to the negotiation process. So when someone says to you, this is too expensive, the best thing you can say is nothing at first, right? Because they're waiting for you to be reactive. They're saying that so that they can automatically know that you're going to try to lower the price. What I would do instead of lowering the price, my response to them would be compared to what? If you say, someone says to you it's too expensive and you say compared to what, you're totally going to throw them off and you're going to get them thinking very differently about the negotiation. I would also say when you're cold calling, you always want to position yourself as a consultant and not somebody who's selling something, right? People want people who are resourceful and who are coming to the table with solutions. And if you always position yourself as that, instead of kind of rattling off, like, you know, this is what I do, like nobody connects with a laundry list of stuff. They connect with somebody who's solution-based and who can bring those ideas and solutions to the table. So that's what I would say for that.
Like come off as a consultant.
Exactly. Like, you know, I've been taking a look at, you know, some ways that I can help you. And I see that you're doing this, this, and this, but like, here's a couple of ideas that I can, you know, create some more return on investment. Like when you start talking about return on investment and you start really talking their language and talk about like market share and things like that, it switches up the whole conversation because now you're having a business conversation and now you're not selling, you're now consulting.
Oh,
and
okay.
That's definitely like the approach that I would take. And I would say the third thing is you should get this book. It's called The Little Red Book of Selling. It's by a guy named Jeffrey Gitomer. It's a very short read. It's a Little Red Book of Selling.
Yeah, I'm just writing down everything you're saying.
Yeah, no worries. And then basically it's a very good, like short snapshot of things you can do when you find yourself in different scenarios in the sales cycle, because you have to treat somebody like you're being like pitch to like a consumer, right? There's 3 phases of the buying cycle, right? So there's awareness, there's interest, and then there's somebody who's going to go and they're going to purchase into that call to action and actually buy something.
Okay.
So you need to just talk to your prospects the same way, you know,
Okay.
and figure out what phase in that process that they're in. Because cold calling is no joke. I cold call,
Yeah.
and I like it, and I tell myself I like it, even though it's not the funnest thing.
I know.
But you got to do it, right?
Yeah.
So those would be some things that I would recommend.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Yeah, I eventually want to turn it into like a marketing firm. And like one of my friends, she's a marketing major with me at Baruch. And I like one day, like I want to bring her on with me. Like I told her, she made my logo for me. And so I'm trying to build it, not just the 3D scans. Basically, the end goal for this company would be an all-in-one marketing firm for real estate listings or anything really. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Any location.
Well, yeah, man. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much, both of you.
No doubt.
For sure. All right, so we're gonna move down the line here. Hunter, give us your handle, tell us where you're from, and then give us your question.
Yeah, of course. Again, thank you too for doing this for us and giving me the opportunity to talk to someone like you both and learn a lot from you. So this is going to be a great experience for all of us. So my name's Hunter Dively. My handle, all my social media handles are just my name. I keep it simple like that for one. And I'm from a small town in Illinois, Effingham, and I am a marketing major and sales management minor at Indiana State University in Terre Haute, Indiana. And my question for you, Wayno, is what advice do you have for students like me who want to work on the business side of music after graduation? And how do I secure that first internship in the music industry to get my foot in the door? It is extremely competitive. And I've done a lot on my end, trying to reach out through social media, LinkedIn, sending out my resume, and just, waiting for that one opportunity, waiting for that one call back.
Well, I'll say the thing about music and getting in the music business, everybody who's gotten in, or if you look at like majority of the most successful people, they don't have like a regular story. Everybody has like this fairy tale story, and I think you somewhat got to create yours. Yeah, I could tell you, hey, Hunter, just apply for every internship you see. Maybe when somebody will call you back. That's probably not going to happen. Just being honest. A lot. You got to remember, there's tons of people like yourself that's trying to make their splash into the game. So I would say like you might need to take some time and find out what events are going on once events are going back on after all of this COVID stuff, and take a trip. Take a trip and meet people face to face. I've seen people. I remember when I worked at Rockefeller, it was this guy named Ashley, and he ended up becoming Dame Dash's assistant, but he met him, I forgot what it was. He just ran up to Dame outside one day and just like gave him a pitch within like 2 minutes of seeing him. And then he became his personal assistant for everything from, letting him know his business meetings to making sure his kids were straight. So I think like, you have to have like again, I'm going to keep saying this because I think that the approaches that we're taught, especially with you going in school and everything, and it's kind of systematic, is to do things one certain way. There's no, I wouldn't say right or wrong. I feel like there's no correct approach. There's no like way to say, all right, well, I'm just going to apply and then, somebody's going to call me and I'm going to go up for an interview. It's not going to work like that. Before you even get an internship, you might need to start looking at certain labels that you want to be at and creating small pitches for a Columbia who might have a Lil TJ or Lil Nas X and say, you know what, I'm gonna spend like a week just working on this marketing idea. And then, I see that somebody's having a summit where they're gonna be speaking. If I could get a chance to go to this summit and holler at them, I'm gonna give them my pitch within like 15 to 30 seconds or something that's gonna lead me to the next 5 minutes. So I think, with getting into music, you got to take that approach, because even for myself, like, nobody could have told me it would have happened for me the way it did. I started out in the mailroom delivering mail, and I got cool with people who worked at the labels. I helped them after work. I ended up getting fired from the mailroom. I didn't even know what an internship is. I just asked, could I go and help out after work? After I lost my job. and that led me to my career. So if somebody could have written that out for me when I was 18, if there's somebody would have written that out for me when I was maybe 12, a few years earlier, I wouldn't believe that would happen. So there's no, direct way to attack it. I just think that you need to be creative in your approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I understand that school is just part of it, but the industry itself, like that, you don't have to go to school to get in. So I understand, like, I'm almost on a two-front battle, learning as much as I can in school, doing what I can, but I'm also trying to learn as much about the industry itself, watching your show and watching numerous other shows, and just kind of, I also understand I'm a guest of hip hop too. So I understand.
Yeah, I feel you, but don't trip on none of that, man. Don't trip on none of that. Just work, brother. Don't trip on, what people may think of you. I think, like, even with the school thing, like, people always say, oh, you don't have to go to school, but I tell you this, there's tons of people that I work with in the music industry, and I'd be like, how you know them? How you know them? They'd be like, oh, we went to school together. So that, like, you on a face value, you see the most successful people who have the cars and the homes and the, all the jewelry and all of that. Yeah, a lot of them didn't go to school, but a lot of the people that make it run, they did go to school. So for me, I didn't finish school, but I think that school that's where you learn networking at. A lot of people say, oh, I went to college and I'm not doing what I majored in. That's one side of it. That's one story told, but there's tons of people that I've seen, from music to even the judicial system, that have gone to school. The judge goes to school with the DA, I'm losing it for a second, but maybe the court officer went to school with them, and they all study law enforcement. It's all, industries are all intertwined, and it's all intertwined through relationships. So first and foremost, man, don't worry about, the politics of what other people might think of you being in the game. If this is what you really want to do, just go at that shit with passion. You know what I mean? Because that's what's going to get you where you need to go. School can't teach passion. You know what I mean? School can't teach passion. School can't teach heart. These are things that, like, if you feel that strong about it, I don't care what label or what company you want to work for. If you ain't got that, you ain't gonna last. So if that's where you starting at, use all of the other things that you're learning as the gas to fuel that passion car.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Wayno. Like, I'm a team leader, but I'm also someone that will get their hands, in the dirt and work.
Yeah.
So that's just, one of the great traits that I got from my, hardworking parents. I'm the first person in my family to get a chance to go to school. And so
wow.
I'm working my damnedest in class, but, making sure I'm going to do something that's well worthwhile and help people out. And,
I'll tell you this, but I want this to kind of apply for everybody that's in the room. While you guys might not be where you want to be, this is the perfect time for you to watch all the game tape. Like you said, it's cool, you watch my show and all of that and watch other artists, but watch everything that's going on and figure out what you could do where you could be a benefactor to any situation. Because the thing about in business, if you can't be used, you're useless. I've worked at plenty of jobs where as soon as people got, they had to do cutbacks, all you become is a number on a piece of paper. And they're like, oh man, we paying them this. Well, we can't afford that anymore. Scratch them off. But if you have something that can always be used and you can be useful, and you're willing to understand that and stay down in the, like they say, the foxhole and shit. If you're willing to stay down there and learn and really do the work, by the time you do get your moment, it's going to be worthwhile. So just know that, all the things that you're feeling right now, that of where you're not at, is all temporary if you really want to go for it.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And, I understand that, you may not get that shot when you think you will, but, you learn from your mistakes. Like, I embrace failure. So I know, right, what I did wrong and, what I know what to do next to succeed. Right. So I appreciate talking with you. With you working over at Complex, Triangle Offense, and Asylum, like what are some traits that you see in up and coming young people wanting to get in the industry, wanting to get into the door at those companies? What are some highlighted traits that you think put them over other people?
That's kind of tough, only because it's a lot of people that get situations because their cousin's somebody, or they, their brothers, moms is somebody. Like, there's a lot of situations like that, but for the people who are really working, what I just see is hunger. You know, my driving force, like my driving force for everything I was trying to accomplish was just simply feeling that my family deserved better than what I was able to provide as a man. That alone, and I'm talking about like a lot of people see Wayno and they say, oh, well, Wayno, yo, he doing this, and everybody jokes about where I live, and he might live like this. And all. I was living in the projects like everybody else. You know what I mean? I had jobs where I was making $9 an hour, you know, working overnight. I had, pissy elevators. I had like a lot of unfortunate circumstances. Those were the things that really drove me. So what I see with a lot of the people, while they might not have those direct pitfalls in their life, they just want better for themselves. And I remember Mike Tyson, I think he said this to Oprah. He's like, everybody just wants to live a little bit better. That's why you see like a lot of people who might be living fast, as they get older, they start trying to check in on their health, because they're like, yo, like, you know, now that I done got here, I just want to live a little longer. You know what I mean? I just want to live a little bit of a better life. And I think like if we take and apply those little instances that we might not take for granted, but think about this. How easy was it to just go to the supermarket 2 months ago? It was super easy, right? Now all of a sudden we can't do it as frequent as we want to. When we go to the supermarket, we got to wait in line. We can't take all our family members with us. Some of us might be the sole people that have to go out and go into them environments. Now we like, damn, I didn't know that something like this was happening. You never know what's going to happen. So I just think like all the little instances and all the little like intangibles that push you is what you should use for when you're trying to get to where you're going.
Yeah, and going back to, you know, working for that $9 hour job, like, you know, my mom, she owns a restaurant, so like I've been working, you know, since 15 in that customer service industry. So you can definitely tell from the people that, you know, really worked in those nitty gritty jobs and worked with those all types of people, and comparing to people that never did that. And I think that what gives me an edge over a lot of people is just that work ethic. And, you know, no matter what job I'm doing, I'm going to do my best at it. I'm going to make sure that no matter who I'm working for, working with, you know, they appreciate my hard work.
Absolutely. My fault. I'm just taking a picture of everybody here so I can show the people that we really doing this, you know? All right. But yeah, man, just keep pushing.
Yeah. I have a quick tip for you. Have you tried using like LinkedIn to get to any higher up people? Because I'm going to tell you, because since COVID has started, a lot of people are checking their LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is popping right now. And I've been able to crack through a lot of like higher up people who typically would have been too busy to like engage. So I would suggest, there's a little trick with LinkedIn. I'm going to give it to you. So you can find out who the CEO is, who the recruiter is, anybody that works in the HR department, and don't just seed one of them, seed everybody, right? And what you could do, don't use like InMail or anything like that, because that's annoying to people. What you do is you hit connect and then you hit message. And I think LinkedIn only lets you put like 300 words, but just hit them with a real quick note about what you're trying to do, and blanket seed everybody in the organization. I guarantee you somebody will get back to you in regards to helping you. And now is a good time because people are online. They're using LinkedIn as a tool. Who cares if you go after the CEO? You know what I'm saying? Or somebody at the top. If you go to somebody at the top, the likelihood that the people at the bottom will get back to you because their boss is holding them accountable is more likely than you trying to connect with the people who are just kind of doing the administrative stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And, you know, I'm so thankful that, you know, the people at my school have really helped develop my LinkedIn profile. Good. I've done a lot of what you said. I'm on the sales team, so I get to travel all over the country and competing in sales competitions. And that's one thing we do. We connect with each other, but I find those talent acquisition specialists at Spotify, at Apple, and I always try to send a connect with a personalized invite.
Okay.
You know, I found the CEO of Complex and tried to just send him a personalized invite and a connection as well. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But like you said, just keep on trying and trying and trying. So
your time is gonna come, bro. Your time is gonna come.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody in the chat, real quick for you, Hunter. Somebody said, have you tried ZipRecruiter? Someone.
I've not used ZipRecruiter. I can definitely take a look at it. I've used LinkedIn for a lot of it. Instagram and Twitter as well, just getting in those messaging, but I can take a look at LinkedIn, at ZipRecruiter as well, because I'm a junior now. So this summer is going to be really vital to trying to get an internship within the industry.
You'll get
So
something.
I've just been looking. I've been applying since, in the fall, and, after the COVID stuff, unfortunately, a lot of things got canceled, but
And
it's
then
just, I keep talking and trying to keep reaching out, and, I know one person will give me that opportunity soon.
for sure. And then what I will tell you, and I can't make any guarantees, but if you email me, I work in radio. So I work on the other facet of music. I see a lot of interns that we get who transition to the labels and stuff. So if there's any way that I can help you there, I will. So you can email me. Actually, send me a message on the side, because I'm not going to give out my personal email, but I'm happy to take your resume and kick it to the right people.
Do you want me to send you a DM through the Instagram?
Yeah, that would be good. And then I will send you my my email.
All right,
Awesome.
Thank you,
I
Hunter.
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Hunter. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
Kenya, Wayno,
Yes.
I'm so sorry. My mom told me I have to go do something. It's very
Oh,
You're
good.
important.
Go
fine. Go ahead,
do it.
man. By all means, you don't have to explain.
Yeah.
Listen to your mom.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Got it.
Go on.
guys, I really appreciate it, and everybody, I hope you guys get to where you guys going. All right.
Mohammed, I've
All
got one thing for you.
Yeah. What's up?
Take a look at the Spin Selling book by Neil Rackman.
Spin selling.
Gonna give you a
Yeah,
lot.
y'all two should connect. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but we got to keep it.
Oh, yeah,
we gotta
yeah.
keep
Thank you
kinda
so
keep
much.
going, so
Thank you so
y'all
much.
two should connect.
All right. Thank you, Hunter, so much. All right.
Yeah,
So we're
thank
going
you,
to keep
guys.
pushing on to the next person. So Ghost, what do you got? Give us your handle and then give us your question.
My name is Ghost Town on Instagram with that 9. And Wayno, you pretty much answered what I had question. My question is, how do I get into the A&R field? Because I've been in the music industry for a while now. I produce for mainstream and underground artists, but I want to go expand past that, because most of the artists I work with are underground artists. So it's like, if I'm working with these new artists all day, I want to be able to help bridge the gap between them and a major or even an independent label that can help them with distribution and stuff like that. So how do I actually get into that side of the field?
I say like the easiest way now, because it's not a, but I hate the term when people say, oh, that's easier said than done. Nothing in life is easy. So what I will say is, what you should focus on is breaking a new act. If you break a new act, you're gonna get every opportunity you want. And the thing about working with independent artists or artists that's underground, if they believe in your vision, then you pretty much have like the keys to the car as to where you want to push them. I'm sorry, y'all. My dog is bugging out.
That's okay.
Yo, chill out. Chill out. He's a little French bulldog, but he thinks he's the man of the house. Like he hears the noise and he wants to know what's going on. But basically, what I say is like break an artist. So I'll just give you a small story of mine. I did work in the music industry early on, but like that kind of fell for me. That kind of fell to the wayside, and I had to go back to getting regular jobs. Now, once I got these regular jobs and I wanted to get back in the music industry, nobody was really favorable as to trying to let me get back into the game. Like I couldn't get a job. Like and I got tons of friends at every single label. Nobody would really give me a situation. So what I did was I started my own management company, and that led me to managing, Dave East. And, I did that for a few years, and that kind of opened up the doors again for me, where people saw that I was able to take an artist from a very, very low point in their career and build it up. So once you see that, people start to see value. So the thing, like you said, I kind of answered a few of the questions earlier, but it just goes back to what I was saying to the other guys. Like, you got to build your value and build your leverage. And if you get an artist, or even not necessarily an artist, a producer, that's A&R, because if you get a job doing A&R Ghost, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking for talent. And they're going to want you to break this talent, right? By making records for them. So, if you could start on your mission already, when you walk into a door and people are like, yo, man, what you did with this kid is dope, and I see what he's got going on, we might want to bring you along. Then you hold a little bit of more ground and a little bit more foundation, because you did it yourself or you did it with your team. So that now your negotiation goes into your favor. This is like, you got to treat this like war almost. And I used to read The Art of War, by Sun Tzu. And while like a lot of times when you read that book, if you're looking at it from a war standpoint, it's not going to make sense. But the war is all dependent upon what we're at war with. Your war that you're fighting might just be you trying to get in the game. And it's things that you could look at in The Art of War and apply that to your mission. So, I think that what's most important is just finding a space for yourself that you own and you curate. And then when you come to a company, it's a negotiation. And we all know you get what you negotiate. You don't get what you ask for.
Yeah, nah, because I'm currently in the process of getting my own LLC for a production under a production company. So when I start dropping music and everything too, I can drop that under my own production company.
Right.
So I'm kind of using that. So when I do walk in a building, I'm like, look, this is what we got, and this already got.
Right.
So what can you help us out with?
I get it. Yeah, that's solid, brother. That's solid, man. Just make sure, and I tell this to everybody, man. Like, you know, there's gonna be days where you don't feel like doing it. There's gonna be days where you're gonna want to feel like giving up. I've had those days plenty of times, and I might not have the same exact feeling, but there's some times where I still get discouraged to this day. The biggest thing is just like, you know, just having a team of people or something, or a goal that you set in your mind on, and always think of that when you get into those situations.
Yeah, nah, because like you said earlier, like, you gotta be built for this. I done been told no way more times I done told yes, but it's like,
Right.
if you ain't built for this, you're gonna get discouraged easily. So you gotta use them no's to fuel that fire, keep it going. So now I appreciate the advice. Appreciate that.
No problem, Ghost. We appreciate having you, brother.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
So we're gonna keep it pushing. Daniel, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So just give everybody your handle and then
Okay,
give us your
so
question.
my handle is finally_Daniel. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. So my question for Wayne is, with hip hop becoming more and more popular, not only in America but globally as well, how would you bridge the gap between different countries, especially in terms of marketing?
That's a good one. I actually had a conversation with someone who runs ADA. That's a distribution company, but they run it for Warner. So I work for Warner Brothers, and basically, like, the biggest things when it comes to like bridging the gap between countries is having conversations with people and finding out that we kind of live in the same for the most part, you know, especially right now, like we're all affected by the same pandemic, you know, to a degree. I think that the best way to bridge them is just to find our mutual or our similarities, you know, as far as making music. You know, when it comes to making music, man, music is a universal language. There's tons of songs I've heard that were in different languages that I didn't know what they were talking about, but the beat might move me. You know, so I think it takes a little bit of that, and it also takes a little bit of telling a story. I think that one of the most underrated things that we don't talk about in music or music business or just period, or especially on the marketing side, is telling the story. You know, that's why we look up 20 years later and we looking at TLC documentaries, or we're watching Babyface and Teddy Riley go on Instagram Live and have 500,000 people. Yeah, we all know the music, but we want to know the stories behind it. So I think, like, you know, at conception of us bridging these gaps, we got to start talking about what are we doing here? Like, what are we trying to, what are we trying to inspire? What are we aspiring to do? Are we just trying to make a moment right quick to go viral, or are we trying to do something that's going to live on forever? And I think, you know, when you go more times with trying to create something that's going to live forever, that's where you find your sweet spot, you know, because for all the people who've been in any type of form of entertainment, look at Michael Jordan's documentary. You know, for myself, I've been watching that documentary with my son every weekend, and it's me reliving my childhood. Like this is when I fell in love with basketball, is in the early 90s, and we still see how important, you know, the narrative of like trying to be great is 30 years later. You know, so I think like that's the biggest thing. It's just us, like, you know, finding the similarities between our cultures and just blending them and trying to do something great.
Because like the reason I asked, because I don't know if you know, Nasty C, he recently signed to Def Jam.
Cool.
So that's Nasty C. He's an artist from South Africa.
Okay.
So basically, he signed like a joint venture. So I just wanted to know, because obviously he already made his name in like South Africa. Because I asked because like mostly underground artists, especially they can't really break into mainstream music, especially here in South Africa, because like we don't have like the proper infrastructure. So I was maybe thinking, do you perhaps know how we could build like from an underground perspective?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I do know about South Africa is that it's definitely a hot spot for talent. You know, a lot of people been paying attention. Like I looked at a few artists, you know, from South Africa. The difficult thing about doing business internationally is like the terms. You know, I don't make the terms of the business, and sometimes the terms aren't as favorable because a lot of people, you know, in South Africa, while we might think that everybody has the internet, the way that they consume Spotify is different than over here.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even have the access to Spotify the way they have the access to YouTube. That's another thing that I noticed with South African artists. A lot of them boom on YouTube, but then when you take them over to Apple, it doesn't translate the same way. And that's because, you know, YouTube is a free platform. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I think, like, you know, just start writing things down. Like for me, I'm always open to new ideas and new ideas and new solutions on how we can make things bigger. So, you know, you already tapped in with us, you know, with the free throws. Write some stuff down and we'll see what we can make happen.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem, brother.
Yes, thanks for tuning in from South Africa. That's dope.
Yeah.
Super dope. Yeah, so we're gonna ask you to just mute Daniel, and then we're gonna move on to Julian, who's been waiting patiently. He's still there?
Yeah, everybody been waiting patiently, man. I see my man Christian, he got the Birdman hand rub going. I see my man, you know what I mean? But it's all good. We're gonna get to everybody. We're gonna get to everybody.
So good stuff. So Julian, give everybody your handle first. Tell them where you're from, and then give us your question.
So it's living.n, like an.epic. So living and epic. Yeah. So I'm 17 and I've been kind of having a lot of conflicts with, so like, you know, term, a lot of irons in the fire, like, you know, having a lot of interest and a lot of, like for me, I immerse myself into the music world, the literary world, the physical and visual art world. And I kind of really want to know, how do you figure out which areas to focus yourself in without losing those other aspects of yourself? Because like for me, it becomes really stressful because I'm taking courses at the New England Conservatory of Music right now, but I'm also like really big into sculpture, and I've been kind of creating like my own kind of style of art right now. That's, I mean, like here's, you can't really see, but kind of an example of the shit that I've been.
I can see it. That's
and, like long time. I actually kind of started it when I was in New York City over February break. I was in, you know, Askin, NYC, and in Soho near Round 2. Yeah, I dropped in. I was seeing all that really dope art posted on like the canvases on jean jackets and shirts, and I was like, holy shit, this is like what I've wanted to do my whole life. You know, this is what I want to do in the long term. But I mean, I'm also really into journalism and creating music. You know, I do lyricists and stuff. So how do you figure out like what areas to focus yourself in without losing those other aspects?
So first and foremost, man, you got to keep in mind you're only 17. You know what I mean? You got tons of time to figure this out. You know what I mean? You got tons of time to figure this out. I say one of the biggest things is you got to figure out like what you're passionate about, and you might be passionate about all these things, but I think in order to have success, you gotta do one thing really good first, and then all the other things will follow. Now, even for myself, like I never went to school for journalism. I never went to school for communications, yet I landed myself with a job where tons of people feel like they deserved it over me, right? And that's due to my relationships. I say for you, if you're trying to get into art and that world, that's not that you have more of a chance, but I think that like with you being so young and having a creative mindset and already seeing that for yourself, you should kind of lean towards that. I don't know if you're familiar with the guy Kid Super.
No, I'm actually not.
So whenever you get a chance, look up Kid Super. He's he makes streetwear. I met him at Complex Con this past Complex Con in November. And you know, I was introduced to him by my man Denzel from Patreon. I can't see, but let me see. Say something.
Well, yeah, super public figure, 80K followers.
Yeah. He has a clothing line, you know, and he also does art. So this is a guy who, like, when I met him, he was telling me that he had a booth at Complex Con. So he was telling me, he's like, yo, you know how I got this booth? And I'm like, how? He was like, yo, they wouldn't give me a booth. They were saying that, you know, I waited too late for my submission. And what I did was I just rented an ice cream truck and I made all these t-shirt designs, like can't get into Complex Con and all that. And I pulled up right in front of Complex Con and sold them. And he was like, yo, so, you know, Complex Con is full of tons of hype these kids. So he was like, yo, them shit sold out in like 10 minutes. And then he was like, yo, all right, we need you in here. So it all goes back to, you know, not taking the conventional approach, you know,
exactly. I mean, I feel like we're all created uniquely, but so many
Right.
people blend in. I feel like why blend in when you actually have the option to pop out, Like
Right.
I mean, looking down the road, I want to create with anyone, any
Yeah.
medium. Like that's what I want to spend my life doing, just down the road, just creating dope shit,
So look at this, Julian. This is why I started to build out this platform. Because look at this, right? So we're talking about like, where are you from again?
I'm actually from Portland, Maine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where you live currently?
Yeah, I live
All right.
in Cape Elizabeth, which is right outside. So
All
it's
right.
pretty rural, and Portland's pretty small,
So look, so by looking around your room, I can already see your influence. You got some Travis Ones up there. You got some
Hachi Murakami.
yeah, you got some off-white Prestos. So look, I can already see your influence, right? So look, this is the reason why I created this
Oh,
platform.
by the way, I don't
Uh-huh.
really resell. I
Nah,
bought
it's all good. It's all good. So look at this. Yeah, I'm not the resale police, even though they get on the resellers get on my nerves sometimes.
Do you know Star Aglet Italy in Soho? Do you know that place?
No, but let me just finish this real quick.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
like I was saying, look at the guy who I just spoke to before you. Right now, with me making this, you got a guy right in here from South Africa. You connecting with him. I don't know what Daniel might be into, but you could possibly connect with him, and that could put your art international from the rip. So this is the reason why we're doing this, is because we want to be able to bridge the gaps. I don't feel like I already can see that by looking around your room. Even though you grew up in Maine and I grew up in Harlem, we got some of the same taste in sneakers already. We got some of the same taste in art. So I think again, let's stick to the unconventional way. Let's stick to going where our hearts is at. Let's stick to not necessarily defying what people told us, but listening to what we feel is right for ourselves and just really going for it. That's what got me where I'm at. A lot of people told me that music wouldn't work for me. All the things that I was into wasn't gonna work for me. And I think that you guys are no different than me. You guys, especially if you guys are still in school and going to college. I dropped out of high school in the 9th grade. And I'm not saying that as a bragging point. I'm just saying that as a part of my struggle, I had to work 5 times harder than the person next to me. So if some of you guys might have a little bit of, you still got your academics going, stick with that. Network. Make the best that you can out of the shit. Turn it into something. That's the things that a lot of people is not going to tell us. Just me. A building doesn't educate you. You educate yourself. Yeah. So when you go into school, link with your guys, man, and your homegirls and say oh, what are we doing? Let's make some shit go. You already making artwork. You could easily
I've
start.
always connected with older people, being an only child, So my mind's kind of developed a bit past because of my grades. So, I'm a junior now and I've always been close with the seniors. So now it's kind of tough to be that one kid who, kids don't exactly listen to because they're not ready to hear that shit. I was in New York City over Thanksgiving and I went to Stadium Goods. That's actually where I picked that up on Black Friday morning. And I met these 2 guys walking around and they're resellers. One had Wave Runners on, one had some other Jordans. And we just talked for 10 minutes just about the culture and shit. And, then I go back home and I'm like, God, I don't have any of the same connection with.
I feel you.
Who do I listen to? Because kids are telling me I'm shit and kids are telling me not to pursue shit. But then but then I talk to all these, people who actually kind of made it and I'm able to establish that connection and have a meaningful dialogue.
Well, then you already know what you're going for. So I think, man, just emphasize on that. Look at, and I put this tweet up yesterday. I said, don't dwell on what didn't work. Focus on what did. And when I said that, my thing is this: it's it's tons of people that are gonna project on you what they don't see for themselves and think that you can't do it because they're next to you. They're next to you and they feel like you can't do it because they feel like they can't do it. That's fine.
I was just that on Instagram. I blocked this guy and this girl because she was hating on my shit. I'm like, you know what? I mean, I'm glad I figured this out early. If someone's not going to add a positive influence in my life, then there's not any reason I should invest myself in it.
Well, man, that's and like I said, man, just keep going with that, brother. It was good talking to you. But just make sure you tap into these, man, because like I said, this is not just my platform. This is our platform. This is a place where it's judgment-free zone. Y'all all can come in here. Y'all all can leave here, find each other's Instagram handles and hit each other up and say, yo, you doing this? Yo, I'm an artist. I might need some artwork. Yo, I'm working on merch. Y'all could connect. So thank you. I appreciate you, and I want to keep it moving. But man, just don't get discouraged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't get discouraged by what nobody says you can't do.
Thanks, Wayno. It means a lot.
Problem.
Really.
No problem, man. No problem.
Thank you, Julian. So we're gonna keep it pushing. Dominic, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am. How y'all doing?
We're good.
What's going
How
on,
are
brother?
you?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. My name is Dominique. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay.
That's why you're calling me
Yeah.
ma'am, huh?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. But yeah, I work for Group 82 Music, where we work with artists on helping them with.
I don't know.
We lost you, but we'll come back into the Zoom if you could still hear us.
Yeah, I thought it was my headphone.
Nah, I think we lost him. All right, so we're gonna pivot quickly. We're gonna go to Onassis. Oh, I think he's back.
Back? All right.
You're back? Let's give him a second. You're back. Okay, you're back?
I'm sorry, y'all.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, I got these new headphones and they're like real sensitive when you.
It's okay.
It's all good. It's all good. Let's go. Pick up where you left off.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, I work for Group 82 Music. We help artists from anything from logos, branding, building a website, and also Spotify development. I work on the business, Spotify business side. So basically, when artists hit us up, I help them push their music to Spotify playlists to increase their streams.
Okay. Dope.
So this goes in. I had a 2-part question, and Wayno, you kind of already answered it a couple times, but I'm gonna kind of tweak it a little bit. But speaking with artists daily, from different genres, songwriters, artists, producers, what do you look for in an artist as far as content, sound, and image? Because I definitely want to get into management. And like I said, I talk to a lot of artists daily through my email, Facebook, Instagram, because I also curate a playlist. Right. It's a small playlist, over 1,000 followers. Y'all do music. It's hashtag the chamber. Just hit me. I'll put your music on there.
Yeah.
I speak to a lot of artists. And,
hello? Yeah. Oh, so to answer your first part, like what I look for in artists is just distinctiveness. I mean, you know, a lot of artists, depending on where they come from, they might have similar sounds or similar directions as far as like where they trying to take it. But for me, for the most part, like what catches my eye is like what's not going on. And like I kind of said that a little bit earlier, is like, you know, when an artist is on the up and up, like especially at the time right now, I just seen Ibrahim, J. Cole's manager, say, for everything that's going on right now, nobody's really making any music that's like really like sitting with me or sticking to me. I think that, you know, you got to kind of take the game from a bird's eye view and kind of figure out like where you fit in. Because I remember like 4 years ago, at one point in time, Spotify was uploading 4,000 songs per week with artists and with signed artists. And then they started letting unsigned artists come in. Now it's like probably 10,000 songs a day. So you got to figure out how do you fit into that, right? Like how, if you're a new artist or you're a manager, how do I get my artist heard? For me, it's just like seeing a different side of things. I mean, South Carolina, I just signed a kid from South Carolina. His name is PG Rock. I signed to.
I like PG. Been listening to PG for about 5 years now.
Yeah, man. And so the thing is, and even with that, it's like the thing that stuck out to me on PG, because I seen PG on research, and the thing that stuck out to me about PG is that, you know, being that he was from South Carolina, people always, like me being from New York, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but a lot of people believe that like if you're from any parts of the Carolinas, you're supposed to sound like Knuck If You Buck. You know what I mean? Like, or that's the only type of music that you can make. And I think that he just had a distinction in his voice, his story, and that's what kind of caught my eye. So like, that's what I look like. That's what I look for in artists, first and foremost.
Okay.
What's the second part to the question?
The second part was, all right, so with me wanting to be in management and heard y'all earlier talking about cold calling. I sent out a lot of emails and I DM a lot. And okay, because I know you probably get thousands of emails weekly, hundreds of thousands. How do you decide which ones you want to open? Because I'm pretty sure some of them are like, oh, I'm not reading that. They may say something crazy in the body of the email, but what draws you?
I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you, man. I don't even like emails. Email is a tough way to get to me, man. It's a really tough way to get to me. Only because like email is like such a oversaturated space. For my email, it's people who can Google me and find out my email, or it's people who just like I don't even know how they just figure out my email. It's not too hard to figure out. So it's like a lot of people just figure out my email and hit me up. The thing is like that also doesn't make me not look at them. Some days I might just have some extra time and I'll just go through them. But I have like emails that distinctive. Like I got an email that's all for music called Wayno's Ears. Wayno's Ears at Gmail. And the tough thing about it is I made that email because I was working on like a live series that I was just gonna go on live and listen to beats. But like I put that email out and the shit got flooded in one day and I couldn't open it again. So it's like it's hard. It's kind of hard for me sometimes. But I think like I said, man, what really catches my eye is distinction. Is like something that separates one artist from the other.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, thank y'all for having me on. Again, my Instagram's at Messy MESSY 803. And I see we have a couple artists in here and people that deal with music. My Spotify playlist is #The Chamber. And then again, if you need help as an artist, I work for Group 82 Music and Media, Group 82 Media.
Dope, man, dope. Thank you.
There it is. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Be well. So let me see
yes,
here. So we're going to Onassis. Are you ready? Give us your Instagram handle and your question.
Okay, my Instagram handle is _Onac, ONAC. I'm from the Bronx, and my question was, well, I'll work into that. So I've always like struggled with like just saying, fuck it, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Because I tend to like overthink and focus on the negative parts of like what could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, like what is the situation or situations that you've been put in that you just said, fuck it, I'm gonna do this? Like, how do you just...
Hold on 1 second. Dominique, can you mute yourself because you're popping up if you're still here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
okay. So good. So you said what are some of the situations that I've been put in where I just said like I'm gonna just go?
Yeah, or like something that you want to do and you just said you're gonna go.
So I'll say starting out, like the biggest thing for me is fear of failure. And that started kind of when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, I didn't I was so afraid to fail a test because it's like, you fail a test and then I grew up in the era of like jokes, you know what I mean? So it's like somebody joke, like kids joking on you when you were a little kid. That man, that shit gets mad discouraging. You feel like you don't want to do nothing for the whole day. So like it kind of held me back though, because when I would fail, I wouldn't look to try again. I would rather like take a total failure without even trying than trying and failing and reassessing and going back. So as I got a little bit older, that changed for me because I knew that I couldn't keep taking that same route that I took when I was a kid. I'll say that some of the, like, one of the biggest things for me, one of the biggest challenges for me, to make a decision about what I was going to go with was, getting out of the streets. And I would not sit here in front like I was Pablo Escobar or Scarface or anything like that, coming up. I was a kid that was just trying to find myself. And through trying to find myself, that led me to, getting into the streets and indulging in a few things that I didn't want to indulge in. Now, there comes a point in time where my peers, they're succumbing to the decisions that we're making. It's not like, we're these kids that you could just make these bad decisions and everybody's feeling sorry for you. Now we're becoming men. And I've seen some of my friends, go down a certain path where they ended up catching like crazy charges. And a few of my friends did 17 years, 14 years in prison. And for myself, it was like, this is before I became a father or anything. It's just like, what do you want for yourself? And that was a moment where I said, you know, I'm going to pursue, because music was my only outlet at that time. And I wasn't like doing music myself, but I knew that I saw the movie Backstage, and I knew that I wanted to get into it somehow. So that was when I made a conscious decision to basically say, yo, you know what? I don't care what nobody says. I don't care if people think that this is gonna not work for me. I'm gonna, you know, make an effort to be something in this game. And that's when I was 18 years old. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but that was like the first time, and like it started everything. So I'll defer to that.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
No problem. But I'll just say real quick, Kenya, what I'll say to you is like, you know, and like I was telling everybody else, man, like we're human, you know. I won't act like, you know, I'm not the Hulk. I won't feel like I haven't been vulnerable, or, you know, felt like I couldn't. There's a lot of times where I felt like I couldn't, and there's a lot of times where I've achieved and lost certain situations, and I felt like, you know, I maybe couldn't get back to where I was before. And when those times happen, it might feel like, you know, you're incapable, but you gotta like really say to yourself that what keeps me going is, I always say, it's simple. I'd be like, what else I'm gonna do? Like I always just do that. I'd be like, what the hell else am I gonna do? Like, this is what I love. Like, what else I'm gonna do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, not that I can't do anything else, but it's just like, you know, when I'm feeling down, that's what pushes me over the hump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to add to Wayno really quick on us is what I would say too, a lot of what happens with us occurs subconsciously, you know what I mean? And what we kind of pre-program into our brain manifests itself externally. So I would say a really good way, a good book that I read that really changed my life is called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. It's by Joseph Murphy. And what it does is it teaches you just about the importance of what thoughts you bring onto yourself, how you kind of see yourself externally in situations. And it really helps you pre-position yourself in a positive way, which is why we're humans. We get caught in our emotions. We struggle with negative thoughts. And everything that's kind of happening around you is because of things that are going on internally. So it's just a good tool to really pre-program and change what's going on with ourselves subconsciously, because we are a product of what we've experienced. You know what I'm saying? So I would definitely say that's a good tool, and it was very beneficial to me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Keep going, bro.
Yeah, keep going. All right, so we are almost to the end. Last but not least, we have Christian. Are you ready? Yeah. So you have, Christian, you have some music for us. So you have up to 3 minutes to play some music for us, and then it has to be accompanied with a question. So I'm gonna have you start with your handle first. Tell us your handle. Tell us where you're from.
You guys need me to play it?
Yeah, you're gonna have to play it.
Well, my name is Emil. I go with Emil.
Okay.
Hey, Sleep.
Where you from?
I go by Emil. I'm from Broward County, Florida. Lottie Hill, to be specific. I go by Emil. My
football towns. Mad football down there.
Yeah. Football, basketball, and a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm at my homie's house right now. I'm having him set the music up. I thought you guys was going to play it.
Nah, man, you got to come prepared.
Yeah, man, you gotta be ready to play it, bro.
Hey, Sleep.
So why don't you give us your question in the meantime, and then we could get to the question part, and then we could get to the music.
My question is, I've been rapping for like 2.5 years, 3 years, but I got my own brand, Mass Vibes Productions. Make it short, MVP. You feel me?
Gotcha. You got
been rapping like 2.5 years, and it's growing, but I'm trying to figure out how to take it to the next step. You know, caught my shirts sell out before I could put them online. I have the support, but it's like getting in front of faces that don't really know me, you know?
Right.
Getting more out there. So my question is, how do you take that next step? What is that next step?
Man, I mean, well, first and foremost, it seems like, you know, you understand, without me even hearing the music, like you kind of understand where you're going, you know, as an artist, or your message, or where you're trying to go with it. I'll say, like, you gotta, you gotta look at some of the things that made you love the music. It's like you gotta, well, you unfortunately you can't right now, but you gotta hit the road. You gotta hit the road physically, and you gotta hit the road digitally. You know,
right.
Those are two things. I think, you know, a lot of times we negate how important, you know, all this internet stuff we got is. You know, it's cool to be able to talk time with people and all of that, but like you gotta make connections. And I think, you know, the way that it used to be done was, you know, artists would say, all right, we got to hit the road, but we got to get the radio. You can be a successful artist without having radio today. I mean, radio does definitely help because there's so many people there's more people that got computers than got radios or listening to radios. But I think like one of the biggest things that you gotta take a look into is, you know, if you have your brand, what's your brand identity? When you do hit the next town, what's gonna make people mess with you? You know, what's the music about? You know, like what's the direction? And I think like, you know, you got to also understand your analytics and understand your numbers. If you're putting out music independently, then you should make sure that you have like, I don't know if it's called pro executive accounts with whatever DSP you're on. May that be like a SoundCloud or YouTube. You should start looking, just paying attention to your numbers. You know, it's like kind of like how these guys study the stock market, and they could tell you by like where you're investing at the most, where it's going to lead you. It kind of goes, it goes back to that when you're doing music. You know, you might look at like you in Broward County, and you might feel like, damn man, like shit, I've been putting out music for 2 years. You know, I know I got the town behind me, but like, man, is people in Georgia messing with me? And you might look at your numbers and see that. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm in Georgia too, I know. For real, one of the most eye-opening things I saw in all of this was a couple years ago, when I was managing Dave. We went to Japan, and not even Dave, but like there was artists that was from Harlem and the Bronx locally, and their records was playing. It's not like we went to Japan and was asking people to play these records. We was all the way on the other side of the world, and the DJs is playing like all these guys that's back in New York who's trying to be the man only in New York, playing this shit on the other side of the world. And just the love and affinity that Japanese people have for hip hop was kind of like crazy as well. So I think like, you know, it might be some times where you might say, all right, I done went from 200 views to 2,000 views, and maybe I got 20,000, but how do I get it to 100,000? It's like I said, you got to hit the streets physically, and you got to hit the streets digitally. So I don't know if you was watching, you know, on live last week, the last one we was doing, but I was telling a few of the brothers that was on here, it's like you got to invest in digital marketing, you know, and there's tons of companies like the brother, what's my guy's name? Messi, yeah, like he was saying what he's doing down at SC, you know, he might be able to connect with you and get you to get a couple of placements out there. Maybe it's him working with some artists from out there, working with some producers from out there. That's just gonna open you up a little bit, and not just and you know, a lot of people, they might just pay for a feature here and there to get themselves going. But I think like before you even do that, there's so many more ways to get your name going, you know. And like I said, just emphasize on the digital right now. You know, because it's online. Because right now, like you can't, like I can't leave where I'm at. Like you can't leave where you at, but like your music can. You know what I'm saying? Like your music ain't stuck in Broward. Your music is, as soon as you press send, that shit is everywhere. So I think like, you know, like I said, invest in the digital marketing.
Say no more.
So say no more. You ready to play that? You ready to play that record?
I played this record. The song is called Whitney. I just had a homie pass away last Friday from murder. Wrote the song Sunday, recorded it, and put it out Monday.
Okay.
Let y'all hear so you know.
All right. Let me check it out.
R.I.P. Woody, man.
Can y'all hear it?
R.I.P. Woody, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wanna know that if I ride, that you gon' ride with me. Oh. If it's only time to slide, that you gon' slide with me. I'm through days getting money right there, side with me. You can jam, you know your family be alright. Wanna know that if I ride, that you gon' ride with me. If it's only time to slide, that you gon' slide with me. I'm through days getting right there, side with me. You can jam, you know your family got an eye. Question for God, why the good die young? Looking for an answer, but I couldn't find nothing. Wasn't for Corona, homie, would've been in school. Trying to change his life, the niggas taking with a tool. Streets been nasty, no, I understand. You can move the right way and gotta have other plans. Would've died with his nigga, that's his brother, man. So feel like when niggas die, that pain don't never end. Made a nigga shed tears when he so broke the news. But and got a face black, bro. Smile on your face every bookie. Let me get a pick. RP front your name really got a nigga sick. Sorry. You was just telling me how you had surgery. I told you gonna be better than before. Ain't trying to act like I'm your day one nigga. I did it cause it's love. You was an A1 nigga. Craziest part about it, we was just talking, kicking jokes about the Rona. You was just coughing. Niggas dying every day, but not this often. I don't want no one around me feel like death walking. I don't want no one around me feel like death walking. When you living with them demons, you hear death talking. I know niggas popping pills cause they stress off it. Trying to get it out their head, that picture still real. Yeah. Rona catching bodies daily, niggas still kill. Cause those died years ago, with pain I still feel. Couldn't imagine losing games. Soon as I heard the news, started down, started cake. The streets sinking by the dollar I can't. Trying to make it out the hood and let's stay hard in them. For my niggas in the row. My niggas
Turn it up.
No, turn it down. I said. So now, I mean, I'm pretty sure that was tough for you to make. I mean, yeah. I know it's tough for you to make, but look, this is the thing. You know, the silver lining in all this is, you know, why that's something that does, like, you know, plague us everywhere. Like, I got my first friend is tattooed on my arm. You know what I mean? He passed away when he was 17. He got murdered. I was 19. I think you got to figure out how to tell, you know, and I don't look at it like, I never look at things like this as exploiting. I think of it as like just artistic expression because you're telling your story and your man was a part Absolutely. Of your story. I just think, like, you know, especially right now, like, figure out how to do like a dope video. You know what I mean? Like, figure out how to do a dope visual, and not just visual. Like, that's why I say you need to get with somebody who does digital, because you could figure out how to make, you know, really dope digital assets. Like, you know, like you ever see, like, you might go on like Lil Baby's page and you see his artwork moving and stuff like that. You know, figure out ways how to do that, because this is something, like, especially with you being from where you're from and having people already championing you, and, you know, I'm pretty sure people know the situation or whatever. This is the time to, like, just to bring awareness to what's going on. You know, you especially with losing a friend, it's another situation you could possibly put yourself in, and you didn't do that. You went and made some music about it. So, you know, I see it as very therapeutic, but you might need to work on some content, just letting the people who engage with you, let them be your therapist. You know what I mean? Like, you might need to do a video with you, just not just explaining, you know, not the situation directly, but, you know, because people don't like shit to be preachy, but, like, without you doing that, without you talking at people, talking with people as to how do we figure out why this shit is going the way it is, you know? I think at times like this, that's the thing, like I was saying with Ibrahim, J. Cole's manager, that's the type of stuff that these guys is looking for. Something that could really stick, as opposed to, you know, everybody. I feel like everybody could get on a trap beat or a drill beat and do their thing. Mm-hmm. So, did we lose him?
I think we lost him.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, you know, hopefully he got to hear as many words as he could from me. You know.
Yeah, and you can everybody can always go back and watch this back, because it is on YouTube Live. I think Christian's coming back. I'll give him a second. Christian, you back?
I'm back. I'm sorry about that.
Right, that's okay.
It's all good. But yeah, like I was saying, man, like, you know, maybe you can figure out how to flip this on its head and turn it into content and turn it into more of a movement about, you know, some of the hardships that you're going through or y'all going through down there.
No, honestly, I didn't even want to drop the song. That's why I put it on iTunes enough. I put it on YouTube so my homies could hear it, you know?
Right.
But the response from it was like, it was big. It was bigger than I really thought I was going to get from it. And now they wanted it. So
well, yeah, you'll figure out how to do it. But just, you know, like I said, man, look at what everybody else has done in these type of situations and figure out your space. You could probably do something iller than other people have done. So, you know, you got something on your hands, man. You definitely got some talent. So keep going, man. I'm rooting for you.
I appreciate you.
No problem.
I have a bit of a question. You just said, like, you know, anyone can rap over like a drill beat or whatever, but you know, if anyone can, like, how can people like really pop out and make themselves known? You know, because I mean, I wrote rhymes and shit, and actually my buddy OD'd like back in February, and I wrote some shit. I didn't get to record it yet, but you know, what makes some people stand out among others then?
I mean, you've been watching the Zoom, man. Like it just goes back to what I was saying, man. Just have distinction. You know what I mean? Like have something that separates you from everybody else. There's tons of people, like you gotta think, man. Like it's tons of people who are doing what we're doing. I'm pretty sure, like even for what I'm doing with Zoom, you know, I mean what we're doing with free throws, I'm pretty sure that there's people who are doing something similar or they're doing something within the realm, but I'm not worried about what anybody else is doing. We doing our own thing over here. So it's like, you know, I'm building as well. So, you know, just take some pages out of my book, man. Just like be unconventional, you know, be steadfast, be strong, you know, believe in yourself, even when it's hard not to, and you keep pushing with those things and it's eventually gonna happen. No matter if that's music, fashion, education, no matter what you're trying to make yourself a part of. I mean, but I appreciate everybody, you know, for coming on here today, man, and looking forward to doing this next week.
For sure. Yes, I'm just gonna ask everybody. Yeah, thank you guys. I'm just gonna ask you to mute yourself so we could just wrap it up. So I wanted to say thank you again to everybody tuning in today. Thank you for everybody who's been watching on YouTube. Thank you to everybody who's been following at Wayno's Pod and submitting all your DMs and all your questions. We will get to everybody. We've gotten a lot. So we're just trying to sift through them, but we will do our best to get back to you, and we will. Next week, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but we have a very special guest that's going to be on the free throw. He is a thought leader. We thought it would be really cool to bring you some additional perspective, and he's excited to come on and chat with everybody. So you follow Wayno's Pod. You will see more information about that next week. Get your questions in early. Stay connected to us. We appreciate you, and thanks for tuning into the free throw.
Peace, y'all. I appreciate y'all for real.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Great to meet you guys. Really. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Be well, everybody. Be well.
Of course. You guys too. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.